Welcome to Capital Catch-Up. Today we are diving straight into House Bill 7147, the Homeland Security and Further Additional Continuing Appropriations Act, 2026. This legislation provides funding for the Department of Homeland Security and other government operations through September 30th, 2026. For our listeners, a Continuing Appropriations Act is a legislative vehicle used to extend funding so government agencies can keep functioning while longer-term budgets are sorted out.
That is exactly right, Victor, and this bill has direct impacts on how federal law enforcement operates on the ground. It mandates the implementation of body-worn cameras for enforcement agents, which is a significant transparency measure. Interestingly, while it outlines major appropriations for Customs and Border Protection, it explicitly zeroes out funding for specific border security operations. It also places strict oversight on the Inspector General regarding how funds are used, showing a very targeted approach to federal spending.
Speaking of oversight, we also saw the introduction of House Bill 8312, the Fraud Prevention and Accountability Act. This aims to protect taxpayer dollars by establishing a permanent, government-wide Inspector General for fraud, accountability, and recovery. An Inspector General acts as an independent watchdog. This official will be appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate to coordinate cross-agency oversight and conduct audits.
The everyday impact of House Bill 8312 is about ensuring federal programs actually reach the people who need them without being siphoned off by scams. The bill requires the Bureau of the Fiscal Service to run a centralized data sharing program. This will help federal, state, and local agencies detect improper payments and fraudulent activity using advanced data analytics.
That focus on digital security and fraud prevention carries right over to our veterans. House Bill 9152, known as the VETRA Act, proposes a $25 million two-year pilot program within the Department of Veterans Affairs. It aims to modernize digital identity proofing by replacing outdated verification methods with high-assurance, multi-factor digital solutions.
For a veteran trying to access disability claims or enroll in health care, this means a much more secure and streamlined process. The Government Accountability Office will run an independent evaluation to see if this program should be scaled up in the future. Honoring our veterans was actually a major theme in the congressional record for June 3, 2026, which included a centennial celebration tribute to the Clarkston VFW Post 1443.
The June 3rd proceedings also highlighted National Immigration Heritage Month, which brings us to House Bill 6978, the Preserving Integrity in Immigration Benefits Act. This bill requires the Director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to conduct a comprehensive review of immigration benefit requests approved between January 20, 2021, and the date the bill becomes law, specifically those linked to Presidential Proclamation 10,998.
The goal there is to ensure past approvals met all security and legal standards. The director will have to provide an in-person briefing to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees and publish a public report with their findings by September 15, 2026.
Shifting to technology and national security, we have House Bill 9151, the Advancing American Wi-Fi Against Foreign Adversaries Act. Unlicensed spectrum technologies like Wi-Fi are critical economic assets. This bill mandates that the Secretary of Commerce develop a strategy within 180 days to promote these technologies globally.
The historical and global context here is vital. The bill is a direct response to efforts by the People's Republic of China to influence international spectrum policies in ways that favor foreign-controlled infrastructure. With the 2027 World Radio Communication Conference set to take place in Shanghai, this legislation pushes for a unified federal approach to build international coalitions and secure our spectrum priorities.
On the environmental front, House Bill 8016, the Forever Chemical Regulation and Accountability Act of 2026, proposes a federal framework to phase out the production and use of non-essential PFAS, commonly known as forever chemicals. The Environmental Protection Agency will partner with the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine to scientifically define what constitutes an essential use.
This bill is comprehensive. It establishes centers of excellence for assessing and cleaning up water sources, and it provides legal pathways for everyday Americans to address damages related to chemical exposure. Environmental stewardship was heavily debated in the House on June 3rd, marking the 25th anniversary of Capitol Hill Ocean Week. During that session, there was bipartisan advocacy for ocean conservation, alongside concerns about how administrative policies are impacting scientific research.
That same daily record showed heavy debate on agricultural policy. Republican members highlighted legislative wins like the Farm, Food, and National Security Act and year-round E15 fuel authorization. They emphasized supporting farmers through reduced regulation.
That ties directly into House Resolution 375, which expresses support for designating May 2025 as Renewable Fuels Month. The House has established the E15 Rural Domestic Energy Council to investigate the sale of E15 ethanol, refinery capacity, and the Renewable Fuel Standard Program. The Council is on a rapid timeline to submit legislative solutions by mid-February 2026 to help lower fuel prices for consumers and lessen reliance on foreign adversaries.
We also have a series of other bills introduced recently. House Bill 9157 aims to reform the H-1B visa process. House Bill 9140 requires the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security to improve how military medics transition into civilian healthcare occupations.
There is also House Bill 9156 to designate Tiananmen Square Memorial Boulevard in Washington, District of Columbia. House Bill 9168 would allow a tax credit for qualified conservation contributions that include national scenic trails.
House Bill 9146 seeks to increase penalties for the sexual exploitation of children. House Bill 9164 requires the Secretary of Agriculture to make grants for elementary and secondary schools to acquire milk storage equipment.
Finally, House Bill 9139 clarifies congressional intent regarding Medicaid financing policies, and House Bill 9163 ensures facilities do not lose their critical access hospital status just because of roadway or transportation infrastructure improvements.
Moving on to recent nominations, the Senate has a list of key appointments to consider. For the judiciary, Anthony W. Mattivy of Kansas has been nominated to be United States District Judge for the District of Kansas, replacing the retiring Daniel D. Crabtree.
On the diplomatic front, Michael Kavugian of Florida is nominated to be Ambassador to the Kingdom of Norway. William Trackman of Colorado is nominated to be Ambassador to the United Republic of Tanzania, and Michelle Steele of California is nominated to be Ambassador to the Republic of Korea.
Additionally, Darrell Owens of Pennsylvania is up for U.S. Representative to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe with the rank of Ambassador. Frank Garcia of Virginia is nominated to the Board of Directors of the African Development Foundation for a term expiring September 22, 2031, replacing Morgan W. Davis.
George Holding of North Carolina is nominated to be United States Director of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, taking over from J. Stephen Dowd. And Brock Dahl of Maryland is nominated to be Legal Advisor of the Department of State, replacing Reed Rubenstein.
Before we wrap up, the congressional record for June 3rd also included a touching tribute to the life of Union leader Dylan Valle, reflecting the Chamber's shared focus on honoring community service alongside their policy debates.
To close out today's episode, here is what listeners should watch out for. Pay close attention to the mid-February 2026 deadline for the E15 Rural Domestic Energy Council to submit their agricultural and fuel solutions. Also, keep an eye on how the Department of Homeland Security implements those mandatory body-worn cameras under their new Continuing Appropriations Act. And watch for the Secretary of Commerce's strategy report on global Wi-Fi standards due in 180 days.
Thank you for tuning in to Capital Catch-Up. We will be back next time with more updates from the halls of Congress.